Hi, so in this video I'm going to go over SEO basics for your Squarespace website. There's a few things that you can do that will help you show up on Google faster, and it's also helpful to set these things up so if later down the road you want to work with an SEO expert, you'll have some basics already done and you'll have some data for them, which will be helpful. So the first thing I always suggest is adding SEO titles and descriptions to your pages. Where you're going to find that is you're going to navigate to Settings, Marketing, SEO Appearance. This is for the home page. We're going to add the title and the description here. For your other pages, it's found elsewhere, which I'll show you in a moment. Now, if you ever forget how to get there, you can always hit the search icon and start typing SEO, and it's going to bring you right to the right spot for the home page here. All right, so mine are already filled out, but just to show you what yours is gonna look like, it's gonna be, the description will be blank, the title will have this %S. This %S is a little code for Google to know to just pull your site title. So for this website, it's called Celine, so that's what would show up as the title. So that's the default. Now you can add in your title and description, but just to note, this is more of a suggestion for Google. Doing this does not 100% guarantee that Google is going to pull this information for the title and the description. How Google ultimately decides what the title and description is, and if you don't have anything suggested here, what they do is the title normally is what you titled the page, and the SEO site description is pulled from your copy on the page. Google crawls the page and pulls content. So what you're doing here is you're overriding that and saying, this is what I think the page is about, but Google might not always accept that, just as a little FYI. When you are writing this out, you want to be thinking about keywords. What are people going to be searching for when they're looking for you? But you also don't want to make it so keyword heavy that it doesn't make sense and it doesn't really flow. You know, you want it to be, especially the site description, a paragraph of how you would describe your business, or, you know, what you would maybe write on your homepage as well. Google knows when you're trying to work the system, so just don't make sure it still makes sense when you're writing it. So for me, Squarespace development is a big keyword or key phrase that I want people to be searching to find. Like if they're searching for that, I want them to find me. So I actually have it in my title format here. So I have the %S because my site title is Erin Fitzsimmons with the pipe in Squarespace development. It also just really pulls the eye because it's in my title. There's also another Erin Fitzsimmons that does design, so it just kind of differentiates me from her as well. And in my site description, I have Squarespace development a few times. I also have words like website, site support, designers are my audience, so I have designers in here. So just words that I think that people will be searching for, but if you read it, it's just kind of a nice paragraph that how I would describe what I do. So you can also, if you wanted to, if you don't want it to be your site title, you can delete this and suggest something else, and that will override that %S that's here, which automatically pulls that title. So that's how you can change your title and your description, and then you hit save once you're done, and then you can exit out of that. Then what you're gonna do is for your specific pages, you're gonna navigate to pages, and everything, all of the pages except for the home page, if you go to the gear icon here under SEO, you're gonna find your title and description area. So normally it tends to be blank, or sometimes like that SEO title was just pulled from the page title that I had. So that might be okay and what I want it to be, or maybe you want it to be something more specific, and then you can add the description here. So to show you what that looks like when it's filled out, navigate to SEO. So you'll see I actually changed this on my website. I just call it Development Day. For my SEO title, I wrote Squarespace Development Day, because Development Day is only for Squarespace websites. And then I have a paragraph describing what this specific service is, because I have different pages for my different services. So I have filled out the title and description for all of the pages that I want to show on Google. Now, what happens if you don't want certain pages to show on Google? This is something that not a lot of people seem to know about, and you definitely want to be hiding pages from Google that you don't want to show up. So, for example, on this website here, we would want all of these main pages to show up on Google. So we would fill out the SEO titles and descriptions for all of these, but then we wouldn't want the 404, probably the Instagram links page, and this template, which is more of an internal page. We wouldn't want these to show on Google. And the thing is that Google's going to pull everything unless we specifically tell Google not to. So how we can do that is you go to the gear icon under SEO, that same area. If you scroll down, you'll find this hide page from search results. So if you toggle that on and hit save, Google's not going to pull this page and show it on Google. So we can easily just turn off and hide the page from search results. You'll see I had already done that for the Instagram links, and for this template page, that's what I would do as well. So it's really important to hide those pages if you don't want them to show up. Now, another way you can hide it from search engines. Now, when you're toggling this off, you're hiding it from search engines, but you're not hiding it from users. So if anyone were to go to this URL here, /404, they are going to see the page because it is enabled. All it's doing is just hiding it from Google, because you don't want your 404 page to be pulled up on Google. But if you want to not only hide it from Google, but you also want to hide it from users, you don't want anyone coming across the page, such as this template page I have. It's a template instructions page. This is a template I have. And this page, I don't want anyone besides the person who's editing this website to see this. So instead of just hiding it from search results, I would also suggest disabling the page. So disabling the page, you'll see there's an opacity now. This means that it's no longer going to show it for anyone who goes to this URL slug. And so it also then hides it from Google. All right, so the next thing that to think about for SEO is your page structure and also /alt text. So all of your pages should only have one heading 1. That is important to Google. The structure of your page is important as well, how you have your headings and paragraphs. But another thing is alt text. And so alt text is what you can add to images. Now, this is not only important for SEO, but this is incredibly important for accessibility reasons. When someone is using a screen reader to go through your website, the screen reader will read the alt text for the image. It describes the image. If you do not have alt text, it will pull the file name, and sometimes you have image-1234, and you don't want that to be pulled. But Google also rewards you for doing alt text, and it also takes those descriptions into account when it's pulling keywords and reading your page and trying to decide, if people are searching for things, if your website should show up. So when you go in to edit your website, if you click on images under the pencil icon, you're going to find this image alt text area, and you can add your alt text here. And so what you're doing is you're describing the image. So I have brown-haired person wearing a black shirt standing in a yellow flowered field. And just to see that not filled out, it's going to be blank when you go to it. So image alt text, so you can put the alt text name here. So if not, it's just going to be pulling the file name for that. So that's really great to do for SEO, but also more importantly, I think it's good to do for accessibility reasons. All right, and then something that's maybe a little bit more tech oriented is thinking about URL slugs and making sure you don't have any broken links, doing URL mapping. And I've already covered disabling pages as well, such as we did here with the please read template instructions page. So disabling pages if you don't want them to be seen. But talking about URL slugs, so you can find them when you hit the gear icon, this URL slug here. You want to be naming your URL slug. Most likely it's going to be the same as your page title or navigation title. You just don't want it to be obscure and random. It's better to rename all your URL slugs so they're nice and neat and tidy. It also makes it easier for the user when they're going to remember your URL slugs, and it also just looks better to the user. You know, you don't want some whole bunch of jumbled numbers going on. When you duplicate pages, especially if you're in, say, a blog, when you duplicate the page, the URL slug duplicates and creates a string of numbers. So, for example, if we're going to be duplicating a blog post, we'll now look at this blog post and see that you'll see that here's the string of numbers that I was saying. So it just duplicated the post title for URL slug here and then added a string of numbers. So you definitely want to be changing that to post title 5 or whatever the name of your URL is. So not only does it look nice, it's neat and tidy, but also Google reads these and takes these into account as well. And then you want to go through your site as well and make sure you don't have any broken links, and because Google takes that all into account. It takes into account if you're updating your website, if you're keeping it up to date. That includes the broken links. You know, writing blog posts are great too because it shows Google that you're current on your website and you're making updates as well. Google likes when you're keeping things up to date and you're adding new content to the website. And something you can do if you're changing a URL is URL mapping. So for example, let's just say we're gonna retitle the journal to blog. So what we'll do is we're gonna change it here and save it. But now when someone goes to, say, celine.com/journal, they're going to get a 404 page. So what we want to do is, you know, that's fine, you could leave it, but something that's better to do is to do URL mapping. So that's found in settings. Under developer tools, we have URL mappings here. Again, remember you can search for that if you forget where it is or if Squarespace moves it. URL mapping. So what you're going to do is you're going to write what it used to be, and it used to be journal, and then you have a little symbol here, and then it's going to be blog, and it's a 301. There's examples here, and there's also articles on the difference between 301s or 302s. 301 is a permanent change. So now what's going to happen is when someone goes to celine.com/journal, they're going to be rerouted to /blog, and they won't go to a 404 page. So that's something that's nice to do that will help with broken links. Google likes it, and something that not everyone tends to think about and do. And then the last thing I would suggest doing is registering your site with Google Search Console. You can also do it with Bing as well. And it's a free thing to do. And you're basically the thing is Google's going to find your website eventually, but it just tends to take a little while. So when you register with Google Search Console and Bing, you're letting them know, you know, my site's ready. I would like it to be crawled. I would like it to be shown on the search engine result page. Now, just doing this does not mean that it's going to happen right away. It will make it faster than just organically having Google find your website. But so there is some patience that's involved, but you can submit your site map. I will link Google Search Console and Bing for you. So you can go, you can set up an account, and then you just submit your site map. And then you wait. I would highly suggest you do all your site title descriptions, making sure, you have alt text in, making sure your URL slugs are nice and clean. You've disabled pages you don't want Google to find. Do those first, and then submit your website to Google Search Console, and then eventually Google will crawl it and you will start showing on Google. It also, now, that's a step to do to make it faster, but it really counts for just people natively coming to your website, people just searching for you, going to your website, visiting it. So you want to make sure you share your website as well, because that organic traffic is going to really help. And then the last thing I'll say is once you have done Google Search Console and set that up, come back to analytics here, and Now, Squarespace has a great basic analytics with traffic, traffic sources, geography, but search keywords is not a default. So what you can do is you can connect your Google Search Console with here. You just hit connect. It will have you log in and they connect themselves to each other. It's very simple. And then what will happen is that it will show keywords that people are searching for. And the reason why I suggest this is not only is it helpful for you, but also if you end up hiring an SEO expert along the lines, this is something that you're going to get heavily into as keywords. And if you already have that kind of basic data for them, that's really helpful for you. And so that's just a really nice quick thing to do. Once you connect it, you don't have to do anything else. It's there. You can always look at it. You'll have that data and see what people are searching for. If you want to get deeper into analytics, you can also set up Google Analytics, which I won't get into. It's just a more intense, heavier version of Squarespace. Analytics here, this one's just kind of like a nice basic for you to have. So you can always dive into Google Analytics as well. That's also a free thing that you can do. And so that is my recommendations on just how you can set up some basic SEO, get yourself on Google faster, and found faster. Hope that was helpful.